The body of Venezuela's President Hugo Chavez will lie in state Wednesday and Thursday as the nation mourns the death of the longtime socialist leader. People lined the street after hearing that Chavez died Tuesday in Caracas after a long struggle with cancer. Millions of poor Venezuelans revered him for using the country's vast oil wealth to give them access to low-cost food and free medical care. The opposition accused him of becoming a dictator, and Chavez earned the enmity of the U.S. and much of Latin America for nationalizing major companies and courting such world leaders as Cuba's Fidel Castro. African oil ministers attending a conference in Texas this week said it's too early to tell what impact Chavez's death will have on the world petrol markets.
Venezuela is a major producer of oil, but no one country actually has that kind of clout to distort or either way the world market movement. I think if it was countries like Saudi Arabia that would have disturbances that would disturb the world market. But otherwise, Venezuela, it is sad that this thing has happened, but it will not have an effect on the world market, I suppose.
Oh, it's a pity. It's a pity. I hadn't learned about it because I've been involved in the conference. But of course, losing a leader is very sad, but it depends on how the country is prepared in managing its natural resources, including petroleum and whatever. So it's up to the country to see how best, despite the calamities that has befallen them as a country, it's now up to them to see how best they can progress the harnessing of their resources.
Vice President Nicolas Maduro is expected to leave the country until the presidential election can be held. An announcement is expected within 30 days. Now, the Obama administration is paying close attention to the changes taking place in Kenya, Venezuela, and elsewhere. Joining me now is VOA State Department correspondent Scott Stearns. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Vincent.
Hi. Now, let's start with Kenya. The last time we heard from the State Department was, the most significant statement was about actually cautioning Kenyans about who they choose to elect at this time. What are you hearing from the state at this time?
It's true that in the run-up to this election, the Obama administration made quite clear, to use the language of a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Johnny Carson, that choices have consequences and that candidates must consider the character of those people who they're voting for. Now, while the U.S. government said it isn't supporting or opposing any candidate, those comments can't be seen as occurring in a vacuum when Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto are both involved in this ongoing ICC process. So that was a clear indication before the election. Since the election, the Obama administration says it's certainly taken notice of the violence that occurred at the beginning of the process, but since then, it seems that people have largely been able to participate in the process peacefully, that it called on the Electoral Commission to continue to operate the vote counting in a transparent and professional manner, that those who have objections to the voting outcome use the Kenyan legal system as a recourse to carry out those objections,
yes.
And that the entire process continue on, whether it be concluded now in the first round or if, as is likely, there's a second round in April.
Yeah, so right now at least the concern is about the peaceful conclusion of this process.
Certainly, everyone is mindful of what happened in the last election, and this is something that especially President Obama, given his ties to Kenya, has intervened in personally to appeal to Kenyans to not have a repeat of that. That, as you well know, is not only a concern in Kenya, but in the region as well, given Kenya's role in the region and the regional economy.
Yes. Now, across the world, from Kenya, we got to Venezuela, the death of Hugo Chavez. We know that there has been a real problem in trying to establish a relationship between the U.S. and Venezuela. What is the significance of the death of President Chavez now?
Clearly, relations between Venezuela and the United States have not been good during the time of President Chavez's rule. The State Department, the Obama administration has said that it has always been looking to have a better relationship with Venezuela. But given some of these allegations that we heard from the vice president, it's the view of Washington that this current government is not interested in having a better relationship with the United States. The accusations including that officials at the embassy in Venezuela were somehow involved in trying to bring down this government. Some allegations of impropriety by the U.S. Military attaché, and also the suggestion that somehow the United States was behind President Chavez's illness around about the time of the announcement of his death. It's a very strong statement from the State Department yesterday, categorically rejecting both of those suggestions.
But there's a likelihood again that the ruling party will continue after the election. Very likely. The guy anointed seems popular, isn't it?
Again, the State Department has said that it is up. The future of Venezuela is up for Venezuelans, and that following the death of President Chavez, that the country need follow the constitutional provisions for a free and fair election. And if that election is free and fair and the ruling party continues in power, that it's the intention of Washington to try to improve relations with that government.
Well, we'll watch and see. Thank you very much, Scott.
Sure.
Yes, Scott Stearns, our State Department correspondent.